Hey everybody, welcome to the Q&A for Stories of Hope. Today, the topic is the journey of cancer, stronger together. Before we get started, I want to give you a little bit about who I am and why do I have stories of hope? Well, everyone has a story. I believe every story can help, heal, inspire, educate, and of course, to give hope. My story in short is my daughter, Nicole, passed away on New Year's Day, 2007. My family and I were in a rollover accident and she was ejected from the vehicle and she did not survive. And I don't say that as anyone else would say, please don't feel sorry for me. It gave me to this day to be able to share other people's stories and their journeys, to give you hope and to educate you and to let you know that you can still live life even though something different has happened to you. Today, my guests are Chuck and Hannah Keels, Sarah Ellery, and Robyn Zepeda, and they are going to answer your questions, and we'll have some conversations of our own. We're going to get started with Chuck and Hannah Keels, and they're going to give us a little introduction as to their journey and who they are. Go ahead, Chuck and Hannah.
Hi, Christine. Thank you for inviting us on the call. Hi to everybody else that's on here also. I'm Chuck, and this is Hannah, my wife. I'm going to give you a snapshot of kind of what's happened to me in the last 6 years, just so everybody kind of sets up for the rest of this. And if they have questions about it, that way we can address those. But I was actually diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 2015, May 26th. So my anniversary is coming up here, where I actually I celebrate, the journey that I was put on, the path that I went down at that time that I was diagnosed with cancer. Just like anybody else, it was a complete surprise. I had a landscaping business here in Phoenix, Arizona. So I was designing landscaping and swimming pools all over the valley. An Ohio boy that moved out here 26 years ago. Being in people's yards, I thought was absolutely amazing. The sun out every day and beautiful Arizona weather. And I started getting sick and I didn't know why. And so what happened was I let it go for a really long time. I kept trying to doctor it up with aspirin and things like that. And finally, I had to go to the hospital. They started running scans and tests, and they came back. And the diagnosis from a team of doctors was stage 4 prostate cancer that had gotten from my prostate. It goes to where it's fed. It got into my bone marrow and my lymph nodes. It traveled all over my body. I had cancer in 90% of the bones in my body by the time I got checked out and scanned and diagnosed. And they told me, pat on the back, we're sorry this is happening to you. Go home, be comfortable with your family. You might make it another 3 months. So with all of that, my head spinning, I heard the word cancer. I couldn't believe it. I just turned 50 years old and, was a healthy guy, gym guy my whole life, totally into my diet and nutrition and everything. And the word cancer came up, and not just cancer, but stage 4 cancer. So the plan was to pack up and go back to Ohio and spend time with my family and people I love, and get my boys across the country. I didn't think I had much longer to last. And the day we were supposed to leave, I suffered a spinal collapse. So my back broke from the softening of the bone from cancer. Ended up at another hospital here in town. They started running scans and tests, and they came back and they said, we want to fight this. And so I was I was already put in hospice in Gilbert. So I didn't know where this was coming from. And I said, what do you plan on doing? Well, we're doing 2 surgeries tomorrow and starting chemo the next day. And I said, hey, I have nothing to lose. A fight's a fight. Mm-hmm. So I went through 2.5 hours of surgery, and I was in the recovery room. The hospital is called John C. Lincoln Hospital here in Phoenix. And the room got cold for no reason. As I was laying there watching everything going around me, the room gets cold. And I look around, and as I look to my left, I have a vision of Jesus standing here 4 feet from me. And I was completely freaking out. I was like, why me? He's standing there, he reaches out and touches my shoulder, and he's gone. I started healing so fast from stage 4 cancer that the doctors couldn't explain what was going on, how fast my tests were improving. And when I seen all this happening, I also figured, well, first of all, I was excited. As you can tell, I love to tell stories. So I started telling people of what I was going through, the cancer journey, what happened to me, the vision that I seen, and it led me into helping people. Kind of what we call a cancer coach, but I'm not. I didn't have a degree or anything. I just knew I could help them from my journey. And so what happened with that was started helping people. And a cousin of mine introduced me to a young lady that was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And I met my wife, Hannah.
And that was about a year and a half ago. So I wasn't part of any of his cancer story, and he wasn't any of mine. So my journey began 5 years ago in 2015. Where I moved here, and then 2016, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and a year later, it progressed to stage 4. So I've been in the journey for quite a few years now, and it just keeps changing. Last year, it spread and became triple negative. So I'd been stable for about 2.5 years. So when we met, I was stable. And so my neck broke last year. I've had 2 back fractures in the last 6 months. Lots of interesting changes. Just had a back fusion about 4 weeks ago today. So I'm still healing and had a PET scan this morning. So I'm waiting to hear for results. So I'm in the middle of it still.
And when she says a fusion, she breezes over it like, she had a 7-hour spinal surgery. She had a major spinal surgery 4 weeks ago. Last week, they took the 60 staples out of her back that was holding that suture together. So when Hannah sits out in the back in the sun a little bit and gets some color to her skin, puts on her makeup, people are like, I can't believe you're going through this journey, especially where you're at in this journey. We deal with cancer people. What? Go ahead, Chris.
We'll save that for a little bit further into this into our talk of the journeys. Let's go ahead and go with our next guest, Sarah.
Hi, Christine. Thank you again for asking me on this panel as well. In 2009, I was diagnosed with DCIS, and that stands for ductal carcinoma in situ. And what that means is that it was a small amount of cancer that was encapsulated in one of the milk ducts. Fortunately for me, it was caught very early. The doctor did a lumpectomy, and that was followed by 10 rounds of radiation. During my treatments, though, I felt very alone, even though I have a wonderful family. But I just happened to think that there needed to be some kind of resource or somewhere that I could turn to and find answers to my questions. Doctors are very good, but they're very clinical. And I didn't know what to expect after my treatment or what I should pass on to my children if they needed to get checked. And it was just quite a very scary road for me. And like I said, having my family around was, of course, the best thing, best medicine, but not having resources and people that you could talk to who had been through it was things that I needed. I found that I really needed. So we looked more into a bag of hope for women, and we started My Hope Bag in 2011. And since then, we have reached out to over 2,000 women and their families. And we start with this little bag of hope, and we present it to her. And in that point, we're able to find out what her needs are, where her challenges are. And we have a large network of breast cancer survivors and thrivers. And most generally, we can find someone who is going through what this woman is now going through, and they connect. They most usually will become friends, and it helps the newly diagnosed woman feel more confident, more comforted, and remain with a lot of hope.
Thank you, Sarah. I actually had the privilege of interviewing you the other day on a one-on-one, and I got to hear of this too. So it was very moving. Thank you very much. Robyn.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am a thriver. My journey started in 2016, after 6 months of trying to get somebody to listen to me that there was a lump in my breast, and finally got a diagnosis. Well, the diagnosis said stage 2, and it's recoverable. And I thought, okay, recoverable is a great word. I can embrace that and I can work with that. Well, we went through all of the chemo in 2016, had the surgery in October of 2016, and they said, no, we're sorry, we underdiagnosed you. You're stage 4.
Oh my.
And so it became a battle for my life at that point. Then it traveled from the right side to the left side in 2017. So my battle began again. I had to have the left breast removed in 2017. Then after that, I had done radiation on this side. I had done radiation on this side. It traveled again across the sternum. So I had to have 30 rounds, and 30 rounds on the sternum to get the cancer to be under control. We were on a certain cancer drug for about 3 years after that, and I became what they known as stable. And I thought, that's great. That's great. I can be on this drug. It's not giving me too much trouble. I can handle this. My life is going to go on. This is wonderful. Then last June, it traveled again. And this time it decided to show up as a rash on my skin, on my chest. And then it developed some tumors inside my abdomen. So my journey began again. I started new rounds of chemo. I started a clinical trial. The clinical trial wasn't strong enough, so we took me off of that. And then November last year, I started on the chemo that I'm on now. Well, all of that time for the last 3 years, my hair was growing and it was beautiful. I had a nice cut and everything. Yeah, it's gone now. So yeah, the attitude, the faith, the people, the strength you get from those around you, all put me in the position where I am, where I can smile every day. I get up every day and I thank the Lord that I have this day in front of me to do whatever it is I can do to better my life and to help somebody. So for me, yes, I'm stage 4. Yes, I'm triple negative. Yes, it's metastatic and it's traveled throughout my body. Yes, I'm having other issues. You see the bandages because I have skin breaking down on my chest because of everything that's gone on. I'm still alive. I am still here, and I'm here to share my story with a lot of other people. I volunteer with my Hope Bag, and I share my story with other people that are going through and being brand new diagnosed now. And I help them in any way that I can to help them realize that this is not the end of the road. You have a long journey ahead of you. Yes, it's going to be hell, but we'll get through it together because that's what we do. We help everybody get through the situations that they're going through because it's not easy. But without somebody else, you are alone. But we don't want that. We want everybody to go through the journey together because that's what you need. And that's what I needed.
I'm moved.
Thank you.
A lot. You'll hear people say, "Oh, I can't imagine." I'm sure you've all heard that phrase, right? And then you think, "I don't have that option." Just like my story, people can't imagine that. But you know what? I will throw my cards on the table and I'll take the same cards back. I think most of us can agree with that because I think we were chosen. No, not I think we were chosen to take these journeys, even though there are those difficult days, as you've all mentioned, and the down days that everybody has, regardless if they have something going health-wise or otherwise traumatic in their lives. We have those days and those emotions. But I am very moved by each of your stories. And Hannah and Robyn, it sounds like you guys are kind of on the same. No one's on the exact same journey. I don't care what you say, but very similar when you talk about the triple negative, which I'm going to ask, since I don't know much about any of that. Could either of you share with me what that means, being the triple negative?
Yeah, so there's a couple different diagnoses with breast cancer. And what typically a doctor will look at is if you're hormone positive, and then they look at a HER2 factor. So actually, when I got diagnosed, I had ER, it's your estrogen, your progesterone, and your HER2. So they'll look at if they're positive or negative. So that's where we say triple negative. I've been triple positive. I've also been ER, PR positive, and HER2 negative. So I'm the unicorn that's had just about every kind of breast cancer there is, which is crazy. So the thing is, when you're estrogen or progesterone positive, there's a way to try to address that estrogen and progesterone, because you can give drugs to try to keep that under control. But when you have no estrogen or progesterone that's controlling it, it's a lot more aggressive. So triple negative is super hard to treat. It's the most aggressive breast cancer.
In addition to that, say that like hers changed its diagnosis as it mutated, and that's exactly what can happen. Unfortunately, I've been triple negative all along, which makes it more difficult to treat and less options available to me. When you are when you're triple positive, you do have hormone blockers. They have different types of chemo that they can put you on to help address those items that are happening, because your body is actually producing more than it should, which feeds the cancer. That's where they want it to stop, so it doesn't feed that cancer anymore. Triple negative, they don't know where it comes from. They don't know why it's happening. You are 1 in 8 women that will get breast cancer. That's a very that's a very stark statistic, but 1 in 8 women get breast cancer.
Wow. Well, and Chuck, you don't have the breast cancer, but you had other cancers. When everyone talks about cancer, there isn't anybody that doesn't know anything about cancer. But here, what we're doing today is giving more of an understanding of the different types of cancers, which can go in all different areas, as you just mentioned. Bone cancer, blood cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, and the list goes on, right? Chuck, give me a little bit more about your journey. You mentioned early on that, you loved being outside as the landscaper. You didn't get cancer from the sun.
The question is, the truth of the matter is, I don't know where I got the cancer. I don't know if it was from, some type of treating weeds while I was landscaping, or walking around with a backpack blower on, pushing a lawnmower, breathing fumes, or maybe something in food these days, preservative or something. I have no idea where I got the cancer from. And, like I said, in tune with my body, in tune with my diet, gym guy, hiker, anything to do with being, active, I was involved with. So, that's the unfortunate thing about this. And we hear that all the time, because we we started a cancer foundation. And with the foundation, we deal with all types of cancers every day. And we hear it every day that, I went on a vacation and just went for a hike with my family, and I got back and I was feeling weird. And so I thought I'd go see the doctor, and it was, stage 3, stage 4, some type of cancer. We hear this every day. And a lot of times there's no warning. And if there is any type of warning, that was something that I talked about on my live this morning on social media, was be in tune with your body. Be in tune with what's going on. And if any little thing changes, I'd rather see you spend your time at a doctor's appointment, dealing with your out of your pocket or your insurance or whatever it may be, because it's worth it finding out at an early stage what's going on with your body. And that deals with everything. We talk about cancer because everybody, our cancer foundation and what we're going through, but that deals with everybody out there, no matter what, you're going through, is try to find a early diagnosis.
Yeah. And, we've been told, ladies, get your breast exams, men, get yours. And I'm guilty up until a few years ago. I don't feel anything different. I don't see anything different. I'm good to go. And then I was given the lecture by a few people saying that's not good enough. So with hearing all of your stories, that's definitely one to say, ladies, get out there and get yourself checked, as well as the men. As uncomfortable as it is for both of us, man and woman, it's obviously a very important thing that can be detected early on. And I want to say, Robyn, and I agree with all of you, the doctors, and this is just me, we're human beings, we can make mistakes, right? But we look to the physicians to have those answers that we're looking for. And because they don't know all the different cancers, Chuck, like you said, the different cancers you deal with through your foundation, through you guys, you can educate other people what you've personally gone through and how you can share how you're going through your journey, and have someone else go, this is what happened. Like we talked about the triple negative and the positive parts with the hormones. It's important. to be able to share what you're going through and say, get checked anyways, and then have some sort of a support group or someone else you can refer to, because even though we're not walking the exact same journey, it's very similar with the information we can share with one another. Would you guys agree?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Now, Sarah, I was going to ask you, you founded My Hope Bag, and
Yes.
you shared it with me the other day. So I didn't want to say now, oh, we've already talked about it, but not everyone else knows. What is inside these bags? Just a little bit.
Well, we try to fill them with things that are strictly comfort, because when you are diagnosed with any cancer, you get all kinds of midnight reading material. And we just wanted this to be very pleasant. So we have included a blanket that is embroidered with My Hope Bag on it. And those come in handy if you have chemo, or even the radiation is kind of cold in there. We have a heart pillow that a lot of women will use under their arm after surgery because they can't touch themselves. And we have a bracelet because I believe everyone needs bling, whether they know it or not.
Yes, we
And we
do.
have also our resource guide, which we've compiled from different vendors that we've been in touch with. And these are all items that can be used by a lot of cancers, but most of them are breast cancer.
Okay.
And we'll throw in a book or a magazine so that if a woman is going through chemo, she's got something to read. But it's given with love. It's presented to a cancer patient who has requested it. It's given with love. And we, like I said, I can't stress how much we become friends with these ladies because we stay with them through their journey.
Thank you. And Robyn, you're actually one of the sisters.
I
I'm sorry.
am.
I just had one thing, and that is we talked about getting your mammogram annually. And if you have a problem with paying for that, you can contact us. And if you qualify, you can get a free mammogram if you are uninsured or underinsured.
Oh, that's good to know. That's actually how I got my first exam 5 years ago, because I didn't have insurance, and it was one of those. I think moms. It's called the mobile.
They do that.
Yeah, the mom van that goes around usually in October, because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so I did it that way. So
Christine,
thank
can I
you.
add something in there?
Say that again.
Can I add something?
Yes, please do.
So we met Sarah and My Hope Bag, and Hannah actually received one.
Yes.
Oh.
Still carries it around every day. Loves it. And my point is this is a really tough journey. Cancer is really tough on your body physically, on your mind mentally. And the toughest thing that I bumped into was somebody going through it all by themselves. Going to treatments by themselves, going home and after the chemo or radiation, the next 2 weeks on the couch or in the bed. It's very difficult going through this in general, but to go through it by yourself, and an organization like My Hope Bags with Sarah and Robyn helping them out has been an absolute blessing from God to watch what they do. And any organization out there that embraces somebody going through their journey with cancer, it's way bigger than most people might hear about it and say that's pretty cool. They have no idea, because this is a nightmare to go through it, even with people you love around you, family and things like that, church members and stuff. But I bumped into a lot of people going through it by themselves, and it's very, very tough. So I absolutely love what Sarah is doing with this organization.
Thank you, Chuck.
That just actually gave me an idea for another question, but I want to go back to Robyn real quick, since I did initially mention that you are actually one of the sisters that delivers, like Chuck just said, that delivers these. Is that right?
That is correct. I'm a Hope Sister coordinator, so I actually help bring in new volunteers to help us to become Hope Sisters. I train them, but I also talk to the breast cancer people. I mean, those that are diagnosed. I make phone calls myself, and I deliver the bags myself as well, because I feel that I have a connection that I can make with other people, just like Hannah can. She's got a story to tell. I've got a story to tell, and it gives people that side of things that they can't get from a caregiver. A breast cancer patient going through this wants to talk to somebody that's been there. And so that's what I can give them. I can give them firsthand experience, from what I've gone through, and help them to believe in the journey that they're on, get in touch with the spirit, know that they're going to be okay. It's going to be tough, but we'll get through it together. So yeah, I love talking with other people and helping them to get through what they're going through, and just give them, another side of the perspective that maybe they haven't seen yet.
Perfect. Wow. It can be overwhelming for someone who doesn't know all this stuff, for sure. One of the questions I want to ask each of you, we don't think anything's going to happen to us, right? We think that we get up every day, we do what we like to do. And there's three things I say that not one single individual on any walk of life is exempt from. You want to hear what those are?
Yeah.
No one is exempt from tragedy. No one's exempt from pain, but no one's exempt from blessings either. And so as we walk about our days and plan for our vacations, or want to sleep in the next day because we had a hard day the day before, when you're going through a normal life, like Chuck, you mentioned, doing your job, doing landscaping, enjoying the outdoors, this question doesn't usually get asked, so I'm going to ask it. And I'm going to start with Sarah. Same question for each of you. When you first found out that you had cancer, this is where an emotion needs to be understood, because these are the stories that people don't know. They just see the symptoms, or the loss of the hair, or the stories you guys have shared. What was your first feeling when you found out that you had cancer?
What's going to happen to my family? I thought about, what's going to happen to me, but my strongest thought was my family. We're very close. I had adult children and an adorable little grandson, but I had no idea what was going to happen. And thoughts of finances and doctor appointments and how they would survive without me, those kind of thoughts go through. And you just have to kind of sit back, take a deep breath, and try very hard to it's impossible to hear the doctor after that, but try very hard to just think of a minute at a time. And you do get through it. It is hard, but I highly recommend that if someone is given that diagnosis, that they immediately contact someone, whether it's a friend or a relative or a nonprofit group, because you just can't handle that alone.
Thank you. Robyn, when you first found out?
Yeah, when I first found out, it was fear. I was terrified. Cancer was not in my family. I didn't have anybody that I knew that had gone through cancer. So for me, it was a shocking diagnosis. And I remember sitting in the room with my husband and just starred. I mean, my eyes were I was glazed over. I was not really responding to the doctors as they're talking. I was just terrified. And that was, I think, a life-changing moment for me when I realized that I'm mortal. You think you're Superwoman as a woman, and I'm not. I'm mortal, and this is going to change everything. Not just my life, but it changes everything. My family's lives, my kids' lives, everything.
Absolutely.
It was tough to swallow.
Okay. We're going to ask the same question. Hannah, we're going to go with Hannah. Same question.
Yeah, very much like Robyn. Fear. I was so scared. I also had nobody in my family with cancer. No one I knew that had gone through cancer. And I was actually also going through a divorce.
Oh,
and
no.
I had 4 teenage sons to take care of. They were going to be living with me. So it was a lot of new stuff. Like, I just moved to Phoenix 6 months prior. So everything was new for me. And then to find out I had cancer in an area I had no idea where doctors were, like talk about resources. I had none. So it was very much a thing I did alone. I really did. I did all of my stuff alone. And is one of the reasons we'll talk about our foundation, but it's just something I would never want other people to go through alone.
Thank you for saying that. I feel that same way, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. No one should ever feel alone in any journey, in any part of their life. So I'm going to say thank you again for having you guys here. Chuck, same question. How did you feel when you found out you had cancer?
So I was sitting there thinking about, what they just said to me. And my first question was, is this a short journey or a long journey?
Oh.
And what that meant was, is my life getting ready to come to an end, or will it continue through this? And the fear part of it was definitely there. And then the part about if it's a long journey, if cancer is going to be part of my life or something I'm going to be battling for a while, or I'm going to get through, what would that look like also? So just the question of, is it a short journey or a long journey? And then coming to grips with both aspects of what it would look like if it was a short journey. I needed to get my boys to Ohio, so I have my family there to take care of them. And if it's a long journey, I would figure that out day by day with what we call new normals, finding out, what's going on after you go through something crazy where your body melts down 40 pounds and you're looking at your legs and they've shrunk down so much that, they're skinny. And I'm like, what is going on here? But, I'm happy to be alive. What can I do to get the most out of each day?
I love that. That was powerful as well. In the beginning, I said, I think maybe one of you had mentioned thriver, survivor, and I'm going to add one more word. Are you ready for this one? Warrior. Each of you have had a different stage, that you're going through. Chuck, you talked about short or long, and you were told, oh, you only have 3 months to live. And your priority was what you mentioned, going and getting your boys back east. But then I also sat down and interviewed you, and you took your life back. And that's what I've heard from every single one of you. This isn't over because someone said this is the diagnosis you have. You're going to keep living as best as you can and fight. So that's why I come up with the word warrior. Now we're going to talk about real quickly. I didn't get a chance to ask you, Chuck and Hannah, about your foundation. Give a little bit more information about your foundation and what you're doing.
Yeah, so we got married a year ago, January 1st. And when I just met Chuck, he was making phone calls. He was working as a landscape designer and everything. And I was always like, well, why don't you have a nonprofit? You're always on the phone. He's like, I don't know how to do that. So I was like, I think we can do this together. And so when we got home from our honeymoon, we pushed our desks together and just prayed through every little piece of it and named it and decided that we really wanted to help coach people through the spiritual mindset of cancer, meaning, exactly what we were talking about. When you get diagnosed, the doctor gives you a prognosis, they give you your medical plan, but that's it. They don't address the mind. And that's the part that we both recognized we needed help with when we both got diagnosed. So we came up with a lot of different things. We have a video resource. We're building a library online.
Yeah, I would say the library right now has been way bigger than we thought it was going to be when we developed it. And the reason why is because, first of all, the tools helping people through this journey while they're going through it is phenomenal. And how often do those tools come from 2 stage 4 cancer people going through this right now? And so I think that that when we put that out there, it really started growing even more. We were already getting people calling us and people finding us through social media and Google searches and things like that. And a lot of it was somebody was diagnosed and their cousin, friend, or somebody that already knew about us, word of mouth, is how we got the call. But just like Hannah said, when we started looking at how we wanted this to look, it was not that hard for us because it was all the things that were missing through our journey. And we said, we're that next room after the doctor pats you on the back and said, I'm sorry you're going through this. And you go home and your chemo starts in 2 weeks and you're brain's just flipping out, and your family's there with you, and they're flipping out because nobody ever has thought about having to deal with this. And when we seen those niches, we said, that's us. We're going to fill these niches, and we're going to be that hug, that phone call in the living room. We've flown around the country and spent time with families when someone was diagnosed with their cancer. Whatever it takes to just give them that positive mindset through this journey. And I'll add one more thing is what we really know is the type of lifestyle you have when you get into the fight mode. When you get into the scared mode and the worried mode and the, I'm staying in bed, I've been diagnosed with cancer mode. When you get into that mode, it's not productive. When you get into the fight mode and your brain gets activated and you're like, okay, what did you juice? Tell me the recipe. When they start talking a little bit excited, that's when we know they're turning on the fight mode, the positive mindset through cancer. And that is absolutely everything.
Like I said, warrior, taking back your life, even though someone gave you a diagnosis. It is a mindset, even though we do know that there's other things that take place, but mindset is a big thing.
Huge thing.
Yeah.
Doug, did you have a question for my panelists?
Yeah. I must ask you, Chuck, did you ever wonder when you had cancer, why me? And was there a little bit of anger involved or no?
Good question.
So, yeah, that's a good question, Doug. So basically, there definitely was some anger. I didn't really say why me. What I said was, am I going to make it through this? I was a little bit, ticked off about it. Something that we really haven't got into a lot, but I told you that I had a vision of Jesus that actually started me down this road of recovery and healing through this cancer journey. Well, my faith became a big part of my life. And as silly as this sounds, one of my very first conversations walking in the desert outside a Mayo Clinic where I was stuck for 5 weeks with a back brace on. And one of the first conversations were a little bit of an angry conversation. And I looked at this guy and I said, I've been completely taken out of society. I don't have my kids. I don't have my job. I don't have my health and going to the gym. God, it's me and you. What gives? What gives? So there was definitely some anger there. I wanted to know, and I'm as a human, absolutely understood. There was, a little bit of fear of, am I going to make it through this? But I transformed that really fast, and I don't know why. Maybe it was so I could teach other people to do that now, but to transform that into the fight mode as fast as possible, and then all of a sudden you've got a little smile on your face, and we're laughing and hugging cancer people. And you'd think with the cancer diagnosis they wouldn't be laughing or smiling, and we're joking and we're laughing about things and we're hugging, and it's a complete different atmosphere of I've been diagnosed. And so one of the things that I heard also was hey Chuck, I love your story. I was diagnosed and told I had a year to live 15 years ago. And I heard this so many times that I started telling cancer people of how many people I met that were told they had 6 months, a year, 2 years to live 15, 20 years ago. So if you shut down and if you're not getting anything out of your day, and what if you're around the next 15 years?
And you've wasted that time.
Yeah. What if the doctor's educated guess was not right, and you're gonna be around here? So we get them fighting, smiling, laughing. We cry with them, and all the above. But it's just a beautiful thing, and that mindset is everything.
That's
Thank
really
you.
incredible. You really are inspirational. And Robyn, the same question. Was there anger involved?
There was anger involved. I have to say, same as Chuck, I had that same kind of conversation because I told the doctors when I was first diagnosed, I haven't had grandkids yet. So your goal is to keep me alive until I see my grandkids. And that was my discussion with God too, is, hey, you're looking at me and you're giving me this, or I'm challenged with this, and I'm not done yet. And that's the one big thing I keep saying is I'm not done yet. They originally told me cancer patients with triple negative, they have a time span of 2 to 5 years. Well, 2016 is when I was diagnosed. So I've already beaten the odds. I've gone 3 years on a medication they said was only 2 years good. Now I'm back in treatment again and I'm doing well and I'm beating the odds again. And I intend to continue breaking those statistics because the anger is a good feed. It's a good thing below to keep the fires burning. But the energy and the attitude is what keeps you alive. That's what keeps you walking every day.
That's really inspirational. So Chuck, you said you saw a vision of Jesus Christ when you were battling cancer?
Yes, I did.
That's really great. That reminds me of a previous guest that appeared on my podcast that I run, and he lost his son years ago, and his son, before dying, interacted with God several times. It's always great to know that the guy above is looking out for you.
Absolutely. When you're dealing with cancer, it's, the thing about what I tell people is cancer's way bigger than us. It's not something that we can control. And so faith is a huge part of it. So you can give this heavy burden to him, and that way you can reduce your stress and your worry, and you can put a smile on your face through this journey.
That also helps with coming together. As I mentioned, being together makes it stronger, and it gives you more hope that you are going to get through this as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Bible says, do not fear, for I am with you. So faith is very important to have in times like that.
Very much so. So I have one final question, and this is typically the question. No, it is the question that I ask at the end of each of my interviews, because I like to hear how everyone else is giving advice or giving courage or giving inspiration or giving hope on this answer. It makes me a better person by each person I meet, as well as it allows me to be able to look at other people and say, we're all a walking book. Not everyone has the pages open for everyone to read. Would you agree? So this is my final question, and we'll start with Robyn. What message would you like to leave based on your journey for others to hear?
I think one of the biggest things is never give up. Don't stop. Keep moving forward. No matter what you're going through, you'll get to to be a better person, or B, to the other side and a better person. My journey is not going to end. That's the thing. My mortality faces me every day, but I look it in the eye and I say, not today. Maybe
Not
tomorrow,
today.
not today.
It's not my time, not today. Hannah, the same question.
I would say a big one is to not live with the spirit of fear. I do not fear death at all. I'm actually welcoming it because I'm really happy to go to heaven. And I know that I have a journey on this earth that God's calling me to help other people. So I'm going to embrace that as long as he gives it to me every single day. So if we allow a spirit of fear to hold us and take over, then you don't get to do that. You don't get to live for other people and help them.
No, we only have today, right?
Right.
Sarah, same question.
Well, I'm going to say to live each moment as it comes, because you don't know when it will be your last. But that's a general life statement. The other thing is not to push people out of your life because you're going through something that they don't understand. Doesn't mean that there may be a way that they can totally bless you. So if you have people asking you how they can help, tell them they can do the laundry. Tell them they can bring your meals. Let them have the experience, the joy of helping you, which will also take stress off of you, and you can help yourself.
Short list. Chuck, and the same question for you.
So I would say we have decisions. we have decisions, and your decision is completely up to you. And so you can choose to stay in the bed. You can choose to to buy the road of I feel sorry for myself, and I am going to just stay here and let things collapse around me. Or you can also make the decision to get up and live. You can make the decision to get up and live, and that's a beautiful thing, because it might take days to get rolling. We teach baby steps and mini goals. Baby steps and mini goals are just little teeny changes that you might not notice a big difference today, but you look back next year and you're like, wow, what just happened? So the fact of Hannah and I started seeing Get Up and Live so much that everybody around us now hollers, get up and live, when they see us and stuff. And so when we going through her journey, praising God through the storm, and me being a thriver, starting the foundation, Living Hope Cancer Foundation, helps people make that decision, because now you've got somewhere where you can go watch these videos, be coached, and we hope we're influencing people that way.
I say inspired. Definitely. All of you are an inspiration. I'm going to give each of you this opportunity real fast. And because Chuck and Hannah, you have this organization, where can it be found so that other people can go and check it out and perhaps be a part of it, whether it's donations or maybe part of the journey they need to know more about that you can give them?
So we are on social media. Instagram is the Living Hope Cancer Foundation, and same on Facebook. It's a really nice place to be. And we also have a website, www.livinghopecancerfoundation.com. There's a lot to see there. There's a lot in the menu bar. There's donations, and you can find our Cancer Roadmap Project video series there, and lots more.
Yeah, YouTube. It's on YouTube also. Yeah. And you can go on there and just type in like Cancer Roadmap Project Day 1, Day 7. Maybe your favorite one was Day 11. So you can type that in on YouTube, and it'll pop right up that way. So that's something. And then also, Hannah and I are both published authors.
Yes,
so
you are.
This is fun for me to say, because I'm an old farm boy landscaper, and I published my story, and you can get a signed copy from us. Oh, she's got them. A signed copy from us.
I need to get mine.
Oh, girl.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, just hit us up and we'll give you a signed copy. And if you just want to get one and you don't want to worry about going through us, you just go on Amazon and type in Faith Like Skin or Hi, I'm Chuck. And these books, you write something and you think, I'm not an author. This isn't no good. And people started getting the books and they're like, we are so blown away and inspired by your books. So I encourage, if someone in your family, someone you love is diagnosed with cancer, it's a great gift, because it's inspiration of people that have been through the journey.
Thank you. And now, Sarah and Robyn, you're in the same organization, so I'll let either of you speak, or if you both want to, where you guys can be found so that someone else may reach out.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. www.myhopebag.org is our website. We are also on Facebook. We are on Instagram. And you can also write to us at info@myhopebag.org. We'd love to hear from you.
Do either of you have a book I need to know about as well?
I'm in the process of writing one, but I haven't gotten very far into it yet. I'm just still writing a lot of just the beginning stages. Yeah, I was inspired by Chuck and Hannah's books. I've got both of them. And so I just decided, you know what? I think maybe I should do mine too.
We all have a book within us.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you again, all of you, Sarah, Robyn, Chuck, and Hannah, for being my guests today and in giving us a little bit more information about the journey of cancer and being stronger together. I really do appreciate your time and the information you've provided us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Yes. And for anyone who has a story or an organization that they want to be featured on Stories of Hope, please reach out to me. You can do that by sending me an email to stories@christinehotchkiss.com. Until next time, everyone, I wish you well and you take care.
Thank you.